When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious
What is up, YouTube? How's it all going? Live from Strevor, County Down, it's Saturday night. Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Big Nerd Pub Quiz General Knowledge Special. I'm your quizmaster, Mark Hughes, bringing you 8 rounds of trivia from history, current affairs, celebs, literature, sports, and so much more. We've got some really wicked prizes to give away tonight. More on those later in the show. A big hello to everyone who's joining again, and a massive welcome to those who are playing for the first time this evening. If you've played before, you know what to do. If this is your first time, then this is how you play the Big Nerd Pub Quiz. Alright, you're very welcome to the show, like I said. Yes, there's a couple of ways you can play the quiz. The good old-fashioned way is to do it via pen and paper, or the more clever way is to actually play it using the Google form in the link in the YouTube description below. You can play as a team or individually, it's totally up to yourself. Open the Google link, pop in your email address and answer the multiple choice questions as they are asked. There's 4 options per question. There's 8 rounds with 6 questions each, and there's only 1 correct answer per question. So once the quiz is all wrapped up, all you have to do is hit submit at the end. You'll get your scores, but stick about to the end of the show to see the answers for the quiz. It's recommended that you play the quiz on a laptop or television, and then use the Google form on your phone or other device. Good luck and have some fun out there. Or like I say, if you want to keep in touch with Big Nerd Pub Quiz, we're on all the different social media channels here. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, all on Big Nerd Pub Quiz. I want to shout out at any point in the night. I've got tons and tons of people to give shout outs to for this evening. Yeah, it's a bit of a wet one, so I'm expecting quite a lot of people playing tonight. But yes, get in touch via Facebook or Instagram. Those are the best ways to get in touch. And use the hashtag BigNerdPubQuiz. Share where you're playing in the world. I want to see what score you get at the end. If you have any ideas. But yes, use the hashtag BigNerdPubQuiz to get in touch. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the bell button underneath to stay updated with all the stuff in the next couple of weeks. You can replay any of the episodes on the YouTube channel, and you can host the quiz on Zoom with your family and friends. And you can play all these specialist quizzes that we've been doing over the last couple of weeks. The Disney quiz, Star Wars, Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, 90s, football, 80s ones, tons of ones coming up. More on that later on. Like I said before, Big Nerd General Knowledge Quiz is now on every Saturday at 8 p.m. And throughout the week, we've got the Big Nerds Kids Quiz on Tuesday at 2 p.m. as well. On Monday, we got the Friends quiz for all you Friends fanatics out there. My buddies Neil and Steph are helping me write that one. Thank you very much, guys. It's coming together really well. I'm glad to hear that. And on Wednesday the 10th, we got the Big Nerd Music quiz for all you music heads. 8 rounds completely dedicated to all things music. So yes, do check that out. There's the rest of the month's lineup there, looking pretty good. We've got the Simpsons quiz. I know loads of you guys have been looking forward for that one. Big Nerd Movie quiz with the guys from Banterflex. They're going to be playing and helping me out with that one. We've got Bond, we've got 2000s one, we've got the horror one, and a Pokemon quiz and Big Nerd Wrestling quiz all in the pipeline coming up over the next couple of weeks, so do stick with us. Don't forget, tonight, as always, you can win this fantastic Big Nerd Pub Quiz t-shirt, as modelled by myself. That's from the brilliant guys over at Northern Tees. Use the big promo code BigNerdQuiz if you actually want to buy the Big Nerd Pub Quiz merchandise there. So we've got everything from like hoodies and sweatshirts and tote bags. So yes, if we can slap a label on it, we've got it. So yes. Also tonight, you can win a trial pack of Enerzaid. Use the hashtag BigNerdQuiz for 25% discount on that. Enerzaid is a traditional tasting Lucozade, the energy drink there. It's fantastic stuff. And like I said before, don't forget you can donate to the Patreon and PayPal. The quiz is always free to play. The quiz is always completely free to play. However, you can support the work that goes into making the quiz by donating as little as £1 to PayPal or become a Patreon. Massive thank you to everyone out there who has been supporting the quiz over the last couple of weeks. It's been absolutely fantastic. Here's our big prize that is available tonight. We're giving away a copy of this here. It's called Shot in the Dark. It's a really cool card-based quiz game that you can play with your family, and it's got loads of really cool, interesting questions. Basically, like I said, all the questions are pretty bizarre, interesting, hilarious, and it really just takes your best guess. We're actually going to play a round of it tonight. So I picked 6 of the best questions, or 6 questions out there, put them into the quiz, and we're going to have a go at playing it tonight. But yes, don't forget, the winner of tonight's quiz can win an actual copy of this. So yes, stay in touch. Okay, we're going to kick off tonight's quiz now. It's just gone past 6 minutes past 8 o'clock here in the evening in Westraver, County Down, and here is your first round. It is, as always, general knowledge and current affairs. Yes, general knowledge and current affairs. I finally got around to rewriting it and actually making it about current affairs, because that's generally what it is. Okay, like I said before, it's 2020 doesn't give up, does it, really? But yeah, it's been another very, very crazy and emotional week, and I thought it'd be best to address that. And so we've got a couple of questions about certain events which have happened. But yes, round 1, question number 1. We're looking at... Obviously, we're very aware of the events happening over in the United States at the moment, but Alexis Ohanian has resigned from which tech firm's board and urged the company to replace him with a black candidate. So yes, round 1, question 1. So this tech CEO has resigned, Alexis Ohanian, and he's resigned from which tech firm's board and urged the company to diversify and replace him with a black candidate. So yes, in response to the protests and the violence out there, and rightly so. Anyway, so Alexis Ohanian, he's resigned from which tech firm? That's round 1, question number 1. Question number 2, another current affairs question. So what is the name of Lady Gaga's new album, which has become the fastest selling album of 2020 so far? So round 1, question 2. I'm looking for the name of Lady Gaga's new album, which has become the fastest selling album of 2020. Next question this evening. So round 1, question 3. A 258-year-old bottle of which spirit set a new world record at auction, going for, let me get this one right, it's £118,580. So what type of spirit is it? So, like I said before, a 258-year-old bottle. I don't know what that would taste like. I wouldn't want to try it. And possibly would lose a lot of its alcohol, quantity, wouldn't it? Surely a lot of it would just evaporate. And that's what I was told. Apparently, if you keep liquor for that long, it just loses its potency. But 258-year-old bottle of which spirit set a new world record, going at auction this week for £118,000, 580. 118,580,000. There we go. Round 1, question 4. So, conceptual artist Christo Javashev won fame for wrapping landmarks in cloth. He passed away this week. But which building did he cover in cloth in the mid-90s? Which building is that? Greg's just texting me there. He knows the answer for the previous question. I wonder why, Greg. Anyway, round 1, question 4. Conceptual artist Christo Javashev won fame for wrapping landmarks in cloth. But which building is shown above? Which landmark has he covered up? I think that was in the mid-90s, that. So yeah, a bit of a clue. It was renovated much later in the late 90s and has a much more distinctive architectural feature on the top of it. But that's round 1, question 4. Round 1, question 5. It's John Boyega was pictured during the week giving an impassioned speech to crowds in London regarding the Black Lives Matter movement. But what was his character's name in the latest Star Wars films? John Boyega, originally from Peckham in South London, has been very vocal on Twitter about anti-racism and anti-racism causes, and was out in force there supporting the Black Lives Matter movement during the week. He even just said at one point, "I don't care if this, ruins my chances of getting another job." But yeah, fair play to him. But yes, what was his character's name? What was John Boyega's character's name in the latest series of Star Wars films? And finally, yes, this happened last week during the quiz, and I know a lot of you guys watched it whilst you were playing it. But round 1, question 6. What name did the crew give the SpaceX Dragon craft in which they traveled to the International Space Station earlier in the week? I don't know whether you saw the footage of the astronauts coming through the hatch, but one of them came through, shook hands with everybody, and then banged his head and floated back into view. You could just see him rubbing his face, going, "Oh Christ." I've got loads and loads of people watching me, and I've just gone and done the most stupid thing. Just goes to show you, astronauts, human too. But round 1, question 6. What name did the crew give the SpaceX Dragon craft in which they traveled to the International Space Station earlier this week? The first American crewed launch since the retirement of the space shuttle. All right, so like I said before, we round up every round with a quick look at the last of the questions going before. Run through them one more time. Alexis Ohanian resigned from which tech firm's board and urged the company to replace him with a black candidate, number 1. Number 2, what is the name of Lady Gaga's new album, which has become the fastest selling album of 2020 so far? Number 3, a 258-year-old bottle of which spirit set a world record at auction, going for £118,580. Number 4, conceptual artist Christo Javashev won fame for wrapping landmarks in cloth, but which building is shown above? Number 5, John Boyega pictured during the week giving a speech in London, but what was his character's name in the latest series of Star Wars films? And number 6, what name did the crew give the SpaceX Dragon craft in which they traveled to the International Space Station earlier in the week? All right, like I said before, keep in touch with me. Use the hashtag BigNerdPubQuiz and get in touch via all the different social media channels here in the corner on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. I can see my phone lighting up already, and I've got tons and tons of shout-outs to get through later on in the show. But we're not going to waste any time. We're going to move on to the next round this evening, and it's all going to be about television shows and Star Trek. So yeah, if you know me, you know I'm a massive Trekkie, and it's going to be no surprise that I've actually dedicated an entire round to Star Trek. But don't worry, it doesn't require any serious knowledge of the show. My buddy Lee was texting me earlier on when I put out some of the clues on Instagram, and he was like, "I'm bound to get one of these right." And I was like, "Well, if you're a Trekkie, you will get these. If you're a diehard Trekkie, you will get these easy enough." If not, here is round 2, question 1, and it's one of those put these in order. So all you're looking to do is place these Star Trek shows in order of their first air date. So starting with the earliest and working up to the latest. So starting from top left, we've got Star Trek Discovery. Side that, we've got Star Trek the original series. Star Trek Deep Space Nine on the top right. Star Trek Voyager, bottom left. Bottom middle, Star Trek The Next Generation, and Enterprise. So all I'm looking for you guys to do is put them in order in which they were released. Very, very simple. And I suppose you can actually kick off with a bit of a clue in terms of, we all know Star Trek, the original series, probably came first. So yes, I'm going to give you that one. That's number 1. All right. So if you think Star Trek, the original series came first, put it at number 1. Deep Space Nine 2, put it at number 2. Voyager 3, and so on. Work your way down the list, and that'll come out at the end. But yes, TV shows, Star Trek, Discovery. There. I'm actually looking at all the pictures of these cast members. It's probably easier for me to tell you which of these cast members I haven't met. Like, as you know, I'm a massive Star Trek fan. I go to conventions. I have pretty much met nearly everyone in those photographs. It's like I said, it's easier for me not to tell you which ones I haven't met. Jonathan Frakes is a very famous no-shower when it comes to conventions, but he actually turned up at one in Dublin, and a buddy of mine got me his autograph. So I nearly have the complete set of Star Trek Next Generation crew there. Met the entire Deep Space Nine cast. Most of the Enterprise guys, apart from Jolene Bullock and Amanda Park. But yes, Star Trek Voyager, the original series, Deep Space Nine, Enterprise, Next Generation, Discovery. Deep Space Nine famously set on a space station. Voyager, they got lost. Next Generation with Patrick Stewart. Enterprise with that guy from Quantum Leap. And Discovery's the new one there. But how new is it? I'm probably giving you way too many clues to kind of let you figure this one out. But yes, nice and easy round. If you're a big Star Trek fan, you will totally get this. I'm going to keep it up there for another minute or so. Give you time to kind of work your way through it. So Discovery, the original series, DS9, Voyager, Next Gen, and Enterprise. Big shout out to my Trekkie crew out there. I know Rebecca and Lee are watching tonight. So a couple more seconds on that and we're going to move on. So Discovery, Star Trek, DS9, Voyager, Next Generation, Enterprise. So starting with the earliest, working your way to the latest. Okay, 10 more seconds and we're going to move on to the next round. All right, so that was our TV round. Another one of those kind of put things in order type of thing. Don't forget, if you can actually buy Big Nerd Pub Quiz t-shirts from Northern Iron Tees. So if you want to fancy getting one, yes, and use the hashtag Big Nerd Pub Quiz if you take a photograph of it and share it online. I know somebody in Dublin got one and was wearing it on their way to work, and it's just amazing seeing people buying merchandise for something I came up with like 10 weeks ago. It's nuts. Anyway, we're moving on to the next round tonight, and it's a geography round, but it's one with a little bit of a difference. It's geography and celebrity names. Alright, it's kind of a picture one as well. So I'm going to show you 6 pictures of different celebrities with place names in their names. So all you have to do is guess the place in their name. Very, very straightforward. I think you should, if you lost points in the Star Trek round, you should be able to pick up points in this one. So round 3, question number 1. Probably needs very little introduction, this. But I'm looking for the place name in that celebrity's name. Round 3, question number 1. So the famous name, the famous place in that famous person's name. That's an easy one. You should definitely get that one. Next one, round 3, question 2. Actress and director. Actually, the daughter of a very famous director in Hollywood as well. She actually directed an episode of the new Mandalorian TV show. Round 3, question 2. I'm looking for the place name in that person's name. Next one, round 3, question 3. This actress was the lead character in a long-running American sitcom in the noughties. Well, what's the place name she's named after? What's the place? It's round 3, question 3. Don't worry if we're going too fast. We'll go through them once more at the very end of the quiz. Or at the very end of the round. Round 3, question number 4. Coming up. Slightly more difficult, this one. Round 3, question 4. So, daughter of someone quite famous. Of two famous quite people. Two famous people. Round 3, question 4. Who is this? And what's the place name? Probably the more trickier one of this. But who is this character on the rooftop here? Round 3, question 5. And finally, round 3, question 6. Another American actor. So it's round 3, question 6. Appeared in films such as Jerry Maguire. And was recently in that O.J. Simpson one. Trial of the century there. But anyway, so that's round 3, question 6. Go through them one more time. Just give you a bit of chance to go through them and catch up again. So round 3, question number 1. Rather well-known socialite. Question 2. Actress and director. Round 3, question 3. This actress. Round 3, question number 4. Number 5. This well-known playwright. That'll be your clue for that one. And finally, round 3, question 6. Okay, so that was your celebrity geography place name round. Hope you all enjoyed that one. Hope you all picked up points if you dropped them in the Star Trek one. So going to do a quick round of shoutouts here before we move on to the 4th round this evening. Sean has texted me in and he says his girlfriend Shannon, her mum and dad Sean and Lillian, and her granddad Tommy Davidson, who's 94-year-old, is tuned in and watching tonight in Belfast. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate that. Brad has texted in. He wants a shout out to the Meekers in Bristol. Big shout out to Samantha, Aoife, Brendan and Angel playing each other in Ardagh, Ballymahon and Ballymore. Good to hear from you guys. James Carroll wants a shout out to Patrick in White Abbey, and Thomas Clare Francis in Belfast wants a shout out to Mark in Manchester, and that's from Ross and Rose. Well, keep the shout outs coming in. I'll try my best to get through them all. Like I said, my phone gets completely inundated during these things, but I'll try my very, very best. Worst comes to worst, I'll always give you a retweet and definitely get back to you. Moving on to our next round before we move on to our midway point. Round 4 is all about Shot in the Dark. Okay, so like I said, I picked these questions based on from the actual the card game itself, Shot in the Dark. These are actual questions from these guys. All of these next round is just requires your best educated guess. That's it. There's no kind of there is a logic to some of them, but they do require your best guess. You can check out the website shotinthedarkgame.co.uk, and if you want to buy the game, you can get it from Amazon as well. But yes, do check it out. But here we go. Round 4, question number 1. This is an interesting one. In which year were bananas first sold in the UK? Really tough one. But again, just take a guess. Pure shot in the dark answer this. Round 4, question 1. In which year were bananas first sold in the UK? Yeah, it will surprise you. So when we read out the answers at the very end tonight. Round 4, question 2. What color of cars are most likely to be involved in car accidents? So round 4, question 2. Which color of car is most likely to be involved in car accidents? And I'm assuming this is the UK. It's a UK-based game company. I've heard they're releasing an American edition. But what color of cars are most likely to be involved in car accidents? Round 4, question 3. Which fast food company has the most outlets? So round 4, question 3. There's a Netflix series on at the moment called History 101, and they cover quite a few very interesting topics, like economy and various historical and political events which are happening. But there's one all about fast food, and should be watched. It's a very, very interesting one. But round 4, question 3. Which fast food company has the most outlets in the world? Round 4, question 4. What is the most densely populated country in the world? So that's round 4, question 4. I'm looking for the most densely populated country in the world. Again, think logically about it. And the lucky thing about you guys is you guys have 4 options in your answer sheet. Whereas this game, it's complete, like I said, hit and miss. You've got to really guess. You either know it or you don't. But that's round 4, question number 4. The most densely populated country in the world. Round 4, question 5. So what was the most valuable sports team in the world in 2019? I think it's either Forbes or there's like an index that comes out every year about the most valuable sports franchises going. And yes, it is a list of usual suspects that you would expect to be there. But in 2019, this particular franchise is considered to be the most expensive in the world. What is it? And that's not based on any sort of success. It's purely about brand. You know, but I'm looking for the most valuable sports team. According to this, again, this is all going back to the game itself. What's the most valuable sports team in the world as of 2019? And round 4, question 6. What sells more in the UK? Heinz tomato ketchup, Heinz sweet chili sauce, Hellmann's mayonnaise, or HP brown sauce? So again, think logically about this. What sells more in the United Kingdom? And again, I'm basing this all on the answers given with the shot in the dark game. What sells more in the UK? Ketchup, sweet chili sauce, mayo, or brown sauce? I really dislike mayo. As my friends and family know, not keen. It is made by the devil, of course. His name is Hellman. Get it? But what sells more in the UK? Ketchup, sweet chili sauce, mayonnaise, or HP brown sauce? And there's your shot in the dark roundup. So quickly go over these one more time. In which year were bananas first sold in the UK? Number 2, what colour of cars are most likely to be involved in car accidents? 3, which fast food company has the most outlets in the world? 4, what's the most densely populated country in the world? 5, what's the most valuable sports team in the world as of 2019? And 6, what sells more in the United Kingdom? Is it Heinz tomato ketchup, sweet chili sauce, Hellmann's mayonnaise, or HP brown sauce? I've often struggled to kind of try to explain what brown sauce is to Americans. And it's kind of like, oh yeah, it's brown sauce. And they're like, what is that? And it's like, it's just this thing that goes great on bacon sandwiches. Steak sauce is probably the closest thing we have to it. Alright, so that's Shot in the Dark. Thanks very much to the guys who kindly got in touch with me, and they sent me out a copy of the game. And like I said, they've given me one to give away to you guys tonight. So this is all to play for. And we've got the announcement of our winner of the Father Ted quiz. It was I have to say, big thanks to John Rafferty, who helped put the quiz together. Massive Father Ted fan, but it was a really difficult one. The top score, 50 points. One person got 50 out of 50, and that was Breed Gallagher. I've already emailed them about their prize. They've won a prize of any selection of Father Ted Northern Ireland teas. But yes, Breed Gallagher, if you're out there, if you're watching, if you know anyone who knows her, I have emailed you. I've let you know that you've won. Alright, so like I said, I'll be emailing the person who wins tonight's quiz, and here is more of what you could win tonight. Of course, we've got the Big Nerd Pub Quiz t-shirt. You can buy that from the website using the promo code BIGQUIZ from Northern Ireland Teas for a 10% discount, and you can get it in a range of different colours and sizes. And don't forget, we're also sponsored by Enerzaid. The big nerd quiz is sponsored by Enerzaid, so use that code on their website for your fix of classic Lucozade tasting drinks. And speaking of drinks, we're now got a new sponsor of Northern Ireland Brew Co. They've got a brand new ale out called Lockdown Pale Ale, and it's available from all those fine off licenses there. So there should be one in your area. Do try it out. It is fantastic. Hopefully in the future they'll be supporting us with some prizes. And like I said, yes, this is the game you can win this evening. Shot in the Dark. Thanks very much for donating those. Also check out these podcasts. Stuck in Here With You from my buddies Jez and Mary. My buddy Paul does this one, The Hot Topic Nightmare. Banterflex, the guys who've been helping me with the Disney quiz, and Fright Club, the guys helping me with the horror movie quiz. It's all coming up next month. And don't forget, donate to the PayPal and Patreon to keep the quiz going. The model is, like I said before, it's all based on soundness. And if you saw me down the street and you'd like to buy me a pint or a cup of coffee for all the effort that goes in, well, thank you very much. But like I said, okay, just couple more shout-outs before we move on. Jackie McCrory and Anne Jarvis are playing in West Lothian in Glasgow. And that's from William McCrory. Good to hear from you. We've also got Mel, Frank, George, and Evie in Manchester are playing this evening, and they're playing against their family there. Good to hear from you guys. Lee Hutchinson's playing tonight. I know because he's got in touch. I know you got 100% on that Star Trek one. That goes without saying. Naz wants a shout out to Holly and Smith. Sorry for breaking your glass. All right, so enough shout outs here. We're going to move straight on to the next round. The time now just coming up 28 minutes to 9. Okay, so our next round, round 5, as always, is going to be the sports round. And the theme of the sports round this week are moving teams. So yes, historically, more in America though, you get teams that start off somewhere and then move somewhere else. So 6 teams, a nice little spread of teams from past and present that have moved location. All I want is where they've moved. I'm going to give you the original place of where they started and where they've moved to. Okay, so here we go. Round 5. Question number 1. Is the Brooklyn Dodgers. So where did they move to? They maintained the Dodgers name, but obviously changed the prefix of city. That man you're looking at is Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson was the first black player to play Major League Baseball in a time when the leagues were segregated and the Dodgers took him on. He received a hell of a lot of racist abuse going up and down the country, but really broke color barriers and was become an absolute legend of the game. He won the World Series in 55 for the Brooklyn Dodgers, was an MVP, and one of the great players. In fact, they retired his number 42 across the board. So every single team, you go to every single stadium and you will see 42 retired, and that's honor of Jackie Robinson there. Thought I'd put that one in. But that's round 5, question number 1. Round 5, question 2. You'll recognize this guy in the front. That's Vinnie Jones, and he used to play for Wimbledon FC. The hard man there with the crazy gang, winning the FA Cup in 89, I think it was, or 88. A very surprise win over Liverpool. But where did Wimbledon move to? I'm looking for the place where Wimbledon moved to. So yes, in a rather unusual move, a Premier League franchise, an English league football club, was dissolved and the franchise moved somewhere else. Where was it moved to? I'm not looking for the name of the team it's become. AFC Wimbledon do live on, and actually have taken the mantle of the club. They've taken the honours, that FA Cup win. But round 5, question 2, Wimbledon, where did they move to? Round 5, question 3, Thames Ironworks FC. Established 1895. And they were shipbuilders in East London. So they moved to another ground and they changed their name to reflect that move to their area. But Thames Ironworks FC, what team did they become? Round 5, question 4. Newton Heath FC, established 1872, and then moved across the city to become another famous club. The clue there is in the jerseys they're wearing. The club actually had retro kind of throwback jerseys to these to celebrate the founding of the club. But Newton Heath FC, that was in the mid-90s. But Newton Heath FC, who are they now? Here's another interesting one. Round 5, question 5. New Orleans Jazz, the basketball NBA franchise. It makes sense. You have New Orleans, famous with jazz. Their team is called Jazz. Now, the team's moved. And again, they've dropped the New Orleans prefix and have adopted it. They've kept the jazz part. So, I'm looking for the name of the new team. So yes, the Jazz do still play, but not in New Orleans. I'll give you a clue. It's not particularly jazzy. It's not the place you'd think, oh right, because I often confused me. It's like, why are they called that? But New Orleans Jazz, round 5, question 5, and the final one, another American one, but the Baltimore Colts. Similar thing, the Colts still exist. But where do they play? So round 5, question 6. The Colts. Where do they play now? Like I said before, they've maintained the Colts name for the franchise, but not in Baltimore. They're in another city. And there's your round 5 sports roundup. So yes, I'm looking for the names or places where these teams have moved. So Brooklyn Dodgers, Wimbledon FC, Thames Ironworks FC, Newton Heath FC, New Orleans Jazz, and the Baltimore Colts. So yeah, if you have a little bit of a knowledge of American sport, that might actually work out well for you. All right, we're continuing on with the quiz. That's round 5. We're moving on to round 6, and it's all about history. So yeah, like I do with most of my history questions, these are events which happened on this day or around this week in history. So yes, and no points for guessing, but June the 6th, a very, very important anniversary. On this day, round 6, question 1. On this day, 1944, the Allied invasion of Normandy took place, D-Day. But name the missing beach landing zone from this list. There were 5 very, very famous landing zones. So Juno, Utah, Sword, Gold. What's the missing one? So yes, in Normandy, the Allies, when they were planning their invasion of Europe, they designated 5 beachheads on which they had to capture for the troops to land and push in as part of Operation Overlord. D-Day had begun, and it was on this day. But I'm looking for the missing code name for the beach that's not there. You'll see it's blank. Juno, Utah, Sword, Gold. What's the missing one? Made famous by the events in Saving Private Ryan. Round 6, question 2. So on this day, which Australian state separated from New South Wales in 1859? In fact, they celebrate it as their state's Independence Day. So, round 6, question 2. I'll give you a bit of a clue. There's a massive rivalry between them in rugby league. And it's played out in the State of Origin series every year, very viciously fought out. But round 6, question 2. Which Australian state separated from New South Wales on this day in 1859? Next round. Our next question, round 6, question 3. Which member of the Kennedy family was tragically killed on the 5th of June, 1968? Yes, the Kennedys, the political dynasty in America, long fraught with tragedy in their history. But which member was tragically killed on this day, on the 5th of June in 1968. It was in the Hollywood Beverly Hills Hotel, Los Angeles. But yes, I'm looking for the name of which Kennedy, who was tragically killed on the 5th of June 1968. Round 6, question 4. Also on the 5th of June, Elvis Presley debuted which song on the Milton Berle Show? I'll give you a clue on this. It's actually seen in Forrest Gump. A very young Forrest Gump watches it and is kind of taken in by his dancing. So you remember the scene from Forrest Gump, young Forrest Gump. In fact, Val Kilmer played Elvis Presley in that scene when he's playing guitar. This is absolutely mind-blowing, but yes, Val Kilmer is actually in Forrest Gump. But in 5th of June 1956, Elvis Presley made a very famous debut on television on the Milton Berle Show, debuting which song? Round 6, question 5. Back to World War II again, but which Pacific battle was fought around this time in 1942 and resulted in a decisive US victory over the Japanese? So yes, this battle would have been continuing. It lasted from the 5th of June to the 7th. It was a very, very decisive battle which established US military supremacy in that part of the Pacific. But yes, 1942, I need the name of that particular battle. So from the 5th of June to the 7th. 1942. Which specific Pacific battle was fought around about this time in 1942? And finally, on the 4th of June, round 6, question 6, 4th of June 1783, which French brothers demonstrated their hot air balloon in Annonay in southern France? Revolutionary mode of transport, the first heavier-than-air craft. No, it was a lighter than aircraft. That was the whole point. Airplanes were the first heavier than air ones. But anyway, my physics isn't that great. But like, yes, they invented hot air balloons. Who invented the hot air balloon? That's what I'm asking here. Round 6, question 6. 4th of June, 1783. The French brothers pictured there. They demonstrated their hot air balloon in Annonay in southern France. Looking for their name. That's round 6. Question 6. And there's your roundup of round 6 history questions. So on this day, 1944, the Allied invasion took place. I'm looking for the name of the missing beach landing zone from the list. Juno, Utah, Sword, Gold, blank. Number 2, the Australian state which separated from New South Wales on this day in 1859. Number 3, which member of the Kennedy family tragically killed on the 5th of June 1968. 4. Also on the 5th of June 1956, Elvis appeared on the Milton Berle Show, debuting which song? Number 5. Another World War II one. Which battle in the Pacific was fought around about this time in 1942, resulting in a US victory? And finally, on the 4th of June 1783, which battle in the Pacific? Which French brothers demonstrated their hot air balloon in Annonay in southern France? Alright, that is your history round. Before we move on to round 7, quick more shoutouts. Claire and Steve are eating prawns and steak in Warm Point and playing the quiz as well. Good to hear from you guys. Massive shout out to my London crew: Phil, Hannah, Rory, Vicky, Ollie, Steph, Greg, Juliet. We've got Theo, George, Mark, Paul, Lloyd, Becca, Tom and Sarah in Wolverhampton, Haley and Dave in Wales. Also shout out to James and Kira playing again against Jeanette and Gary in the Whirl in Liverpool. Good to hear from you guys. Keith and Aoife are playing their neighbours Christine and Richie and Rahini in Dublin. Good to hear from you guys. Shout out to team CCJ from Charlotte Blanchard, and Liz and Rich in Farnborough are playing in Hampshire, and they can't wait for the Simpsons quiz and the James Bond quiz. Yes, the Simpsons quiz and the James Bond quiz all coming up in the next couple of weeks. We've got the Simpsons quiz there on the 15th, and the James Bond one the week after. But yes, don't forget the Friends quiz as well. It's coming up too. That's this coming Monday. So yes, I know a load of Friends fans out there are really looking forward to that one. But yeah, don't forget to tune in, and don't forget to keep in touch and get liking and subscribing to all the different social medias. And let me know if you've got a quiz you want to write, or if you've got any suggestions or any feedback. Let me know. Get in touch with all the different social media channels there. Use the hashtag BigNerdPubQuiz. Our next round is going to be another little bit of a tricky one, but I've themed this one pretty obvious. So round 7 is questions which are pretty obvious. Or are they? I'll leave you to decide that. So these answers, you'll be probably scratching your head thinking, that's definitely the right answer. But then there's always that seed of doubt, isn't there? So yeah, let me know what you think of this first one here. So round 7, question 1. So which year was the AK-47 invented? Yes, the Kalashnikov, the famous Soviet assault rifle. Millions produced in the world, a lethal killing machine. But what year was the AK-47 invented? Might be a clue there. I don't know. Don't know how much to give away on that one. Round 7, question 1. Bouncing on, round 7, question 2. Which state is Kansas City located? So which US state is Kansas City located? Home of the Royals. Baseball team that won the 2015 World Series? Good team. It's round 7, question 2. Round 7, question 3. Which episode was the first Star Wars film released? Famously, there are 9 Star Wars episodes, but which was the first one to be released? Round 7, question 3. May sound pretty obvious. We did a massive Star Wars quiz. You can play that again if you go onto the YouTube site and look back through that one. It's our biggest one played yet. We've got it's got something like 27,000 hits. We played that on May the 4th on Star Wars Day. I can't believe that's a month ago. It's insane. But which episode was the first Star Wars film released? So, round 7, question 4. Leonardo da Vinci was born in which Italian city? Again, the clue might be in the name there. His picture there of the Vitruvian Man. Like Leonardo da Vinci being a man of many talents. A Renaissance man, if you will. But that's terrible. Yes, but the man was a man of many talents, an artist, scientist, inventor. Round 7, question 4. But Leonardo da Vinci, born in which Italian city? Round 7, question number 5. Who coined the phrase, "What the Dickens"? So I'm looking for the author who coined the phrase, "What the Dickens." Again, it might be the person you're thinking about, but then again, it might not be. That's why I love these quizzes. They're great. Anyway, round 7, question 5. Who coined the phrase, "What the Dickens"? And yes, it is an author. It's not just some random person, and it is written down, and there is proof of the phrase being used for the first time. But round 7, question 5, and finally, which country was UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson born in? That's Boris Johnson rugby tackling a kid, like pretty much taking him out. Round 7, question 6. Which country was UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson born in? Seem pretty obvious? I don't think it is. Anyway, so there's your pretty obvious roundup there. Round 7. Which year was the AK-47 invented? Which state is Kansas City? Where is it located in America? Number 3, which episode was the first Star Wars episode ever to be released? Number 4, Leonardo da Vinci, born in which Italian city? 5, who coined the phrase, "What the Dickens"? And finally, number 6, which country was UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson born in? Okay, that's your penultimate round of Big Nerd Pub Quiz. We've got one more to go. Just quick more shout outs here. We've got Dave and Lisa settling down to compete with each other on the quiz. That's from Lisa. We've got James Bloodworth says, "Where did you get your Ghostbusters t-shirt?" I got it online on Etsy. It's pretty awesome, isn't it? I know, I love it. I had to wear it, but I had to wear my Big Nerd Pub Quiz t-shirt as well. You can get those on Northern Ireland Tees, don't you know? We got shout outs here. Kim Parks says, "Really looking forward to your quiz. Can you get a shout out to Ethan and me who are eating a Chinese and watching your fab quiz?" Thanks a million, Kim. One more shout out here. Katrina says, we love your quizzes. Donated to your PayPal and we do it every week. Thanks you for doing it. Please give a big socially distant shout out to Diddles and the McCastrels up in Glengormy. Thanks a million. All right, thanks guys. Keep the shout outs coming in. I'll try my best to get them mentioned before the end of the show. We're going to fire on with the final round tonight. One quick word before we go on to it. Right at the very end, you'll have a chance to submit your answers. You will get your score immediately, but do stick about when I read out the answers at the very end. So here we go. Here's the last round of this evening, and it's an arts and literature one, and it's all about famous opening lines. Okay, I'm going to give you the opening lines of 6 very famous novels. All you have to do is guess what the novel is. Alright, straightforward enough. Here's a very easy one to kick off the arts and literature round. It is round 8, question 1. Call Me Ishmael. Very, very famous opening 3 lines of a classic American novel. One of the great American novels. But round 8, question 1. Call Me Ishmael. There's a great joke in The Simpsons about that. Call me back, Ishmael. Round 8, question 1. Call Me Ishmael. Round 8, question 2. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It's round 8, question 2. It was the best of times. Again, another Simpson joke. It was the blurst of times. No. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It starts off with a famous line and ends with a very famous line as well. It is a far, far thing that I've ever done. It's a far place, better place that I go to. Round 8, question 2. Round 8, question 3. It was a bright, cold day in April, and the clocks were striking 13. Which 20th century novel is this? Massive kudos if you're playing this without the options, without the 4 options. But like I said, if you want to win the quiz, do play using the Google form. Round 8, question 3. Classic 20th century novel. It was a bright, cold day in April, and the clocks were striking 13. Round 8, question 4. In my younger and more vulnerable years, my father gave me some advice that I've been turning over in my mind ever since. The opening line of which other famous American 20th century novel? That's round 8, question 4. In my younger, more vulnerable years, my father gave me some advice that I've been turning over in my mind ever since. Now, the opening lines to which novel? Checking the time there. Round 8, question 5. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. The opening lines to which famous 19th century novel? That's round 8, question 5. I know a lot of you will get that. But that's round... very, very old book. But which book is it? It's a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. Penultimate question. We're going to go into the final one. Don't forget, like I said before, you're going to hit submit. You're going to get your score, but stick about for the answers. Here we go. Our final question of Big Nerd Pub Quiz, 6th of June tonight. Here it is. It is round 8, question 6. Stately, plump Buck Mulligan came from the stairhead bearing a bowl of lather on which a mirror and razor lay crossed. Which famous book does this open with? That line there. Round 8, question 6. Stately, plump Buck Mulligan came from the stairhead bearing a bowl of lather on which a mirror and a razor lay crossed. Extremely famous and very, very important Irish novel. To give you a bit of a clue on that one, and you probably see from the 4 options, you'll probably guess who wrote that particular line. But yes, that's round 8, question 6. One more look at those famous opening lines. We got Call Me Ishmael. Number 2, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. Number 3, it was a bright, cold day in April, and the clocks were striking 13. Number 4, in my younger and more vulnerable years, my father gave me some advice that I've been turning over in my mind ever since. 5, it is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. Stately plump Buck Mulligan came from the stairhead bearing a bowl of lather on which a mirror and razor lay crossed. And that is your final arts and literature question. Gonna do a quick couple more shout outs here before we end. Hello, Emer, Declan, and Fardin. We hope we can beat you in the quiz. That's from Connor Mullen. Let's see. Ryan, Sadie Bradbury. Hello from Halifax in Nova Scotia. That's from Sadie, Grant, Derek, and Jeff. Good to hear from you guys. Louise says, love the shirt. Did you secret sofa last night? I don't know what that means. Wishing Carol Baskin. Okay, you can't do that one again to me. I'm not following. I know who Carol Baskin is. I've watched Tiger King. Thanks, Gav. Em O'Neill, can you give a shout out to Daniel McGurk, who's playing the Big Nerd Pub Quiz with a few tins tonight, and that's from Emma O'Neill. A couple more before we go. Scott Perry, Lisa, and Scott are here. Peace out. Good to hear from Scott again. And William has said, thanks for the shout out. No problem. Thanks. Take care. One more shout out. Lope, and he wants to say a shout out. Her wife Charmaine wants to adopt me. She's 38, and we're from Fleet in Hampshire. Can you give a shout out to Jemima, who's the second big nerd of all time after Annabella, her sister? Well, I'm currently spoken for. Well, anyway, nice of you to ask. Thanks very much for playing. Like I said, keep in touch using all the different social media channels, and we're going to show you the answers for this week's Big Nerd Pub Quiz, so stick about. I hope you've all submitted, and here we go. Here are the answers for this week's quiz. Round 1. So the CEO that resigned this week was the CEO of Reddit. Lady Gaga's new album this week, Chromatica, fastest selling album of 2020 so far. The Cognac, I knew Greg was going to get that one. Greg and Juliet from that region, from the town Cognac, a very nice place, was the whiskey, or was the brandy that was the super old brandy that was sold at auction there. The Reichstag was the building covered as part of an arts installation. The character John Boyega plays in Star Wars is Finn, and the capsule was named Endeavour by that crew to the ISS. There is the Star Trek lineup and the years they came out. So Star Trek debuted 1966, followed by The Next Generation in 87, Deep Space Nine in 1993, followed by Voyager in 95, and Enterprise 2001, bit of a gap, and then Discovery in 2017. I'm sure you all got these ones. So the geography clues were in the names Paris Hilton, Bryce Dallas Howard, America Ferrera, Chelsea Clinton, Tennessee Williams, and Cuba Golding Jr. So, the shot in the dark answers, it was pretty interesting ones. So, 1633 was the year which bananas were first recorded to have been sold in the UK. Red cars crash more, apparently. Subway has the most franchises and outlets in the world, more than McDonald's. And yeah, if you think about it, yeah, you see them more often and more because they're easier to set up. And they're everywhere. So yes, Subway has the most franchises. Monaco is the most densely populated country in the world at 48,000 people living in per square mile, which is quite a lot if you think about it. Dallas Cowboys are considered to be the most valuable franchise as of 2019. And Hellmann's Mayonnaise, apparently as of 2017, has overtaken red sauce. I don't get that. I really do not understand that. Those teams that moved. So Brooklyn Dodgers went to LA and became the LA Dodgers. Wimbledon FC moved to Milton Keynes and became MK Dons. West Ham United were originally Thames Ironworks. Newton Heath were Manchester United. The New Orleans Jazz moved to Utah. Salt Lake City therefore becoming Utah Jazz. And the Indianapolis Colts were formerly the Baltimore Colts. Your round 6 history round. Omaha was the missing beach on that list. Queensland is the state that separated from New South Wales. Robert was the answer for number 3. Robert F. Kennedy. Hound Dog was the song sung by Elvis on the show. The Battle of Midway fought in 1942 on this date, and the Montgolfier brothers were the inventors of the hot air balloon. So yes, the AK-47 was invented in 1947, just in case you knew. Missouri is where Kansas City is, not in the state of Kansas or Arkansas. No, it's in Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri. Episode 4 was the first movie to be released in the Star Wars franchise. Makes sense. Leonardo da Vinci wasn't from Da Vinci. His family were from Da Vinci, but he was actually born in Florence. William Shakespeare came up with the term "what the dickens." His first recorded usage was in The Merry Wives of Windsor. And Boris Johnson was actually born in New York, so he's actually from the United States. And your final round there, the literature. Call Me Ishmael was the first lines of the immortal Moby Dick. Tale of Two Cities is the best of times, it was the worst of times. 1984, Clock Striking 13. The Sage, A Bit of Advice. So I should have changed number 5 there. It's Pride and Prejudice, not Jane Austen. But it's Pride and Prejudice. You know what it is. Great Gatsby there at number 4. And Ulysses was the final one. Yes, Pride and Prejudice was the correct answer for that final one. As you hope you all got well. Let me know how you did in your how your scores were. Use the hashtag BigNerdPubQuiz. Post all your posts on social media. I want to see how you've done. Let me know where you've been playing tonight. If I didn't get a chance to give you a shout out, I'm very, very sorry. But thank you so much for playing and taking the time to play the quiz. It's been fantastic doing this over the last couple of weeks. And I can't do it without your support. Absolutely much love to everyone who's out there who's been supporting my quiz. It's just been a really, really tough week in a number of really, really tough weeks for everybody. And I just want to say, stay safe and look after yourselves. Look after your mental health. Try to get out as much as you can. And yeah, the news, it's a really scary and horrible place. But like I said before, there's no place for racism in any part of the world. And, you know, we should stand up to injustice whenever we can. But like I said, Big Nerd Pub Quiz, we're going to be here every week for the next couple of weeks, bringing you quizzes 4 times a week. Like I said, we've got the Friends quiz coming up on the 8th of June 2020. That's at 8 p.m. Don't forget about that. If you're a Friends enthusiast, or if you know anyone's a Friends enthusiast, like and share that quiz. Get them in on it. And we've got the Big Nerd Music quiz. Declan McKay's helping me write that one. Decky, you should have done well in that English literature round. But that's on Wednesday the 10th at 8 p.m. It's not going to be just about the Beatles. It's going to be loads of other stuff as well. But yes, that's the lineup for next month. Big Nerd General Knowledge Quiz is on every Saturday. And don't forget to tune in to my radio show, Back to the 80s Breakfast Show. It's on every weekday from 8 a.m. as zestfm.co.uk. Tune in for some funky 80s tracks. So zestfm.co.uk. Back to the 80s Breakfast Show with me. There's me dressed as Marty McFly. But thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. I really, really appreciate all your support and love. And I have to say, have a very, very good weekend. Enjoy the rest of your night. And we'll see you on Monday for the Big Nerd Friends quiz. Have a very, very good evening. Stay safe. And we'll see you all again soon on Big Nerd Pub Quiz on YouTube. Have a very good evening and good night.